Everyone, and welcome to the Sunday night studentloanjustice.org live stream. My name is Alan Collins. If you're new to the group, welcome. If you're watching us on Facebook, if you have a question or comment, throw it out, and I'm happy to respond to it if I can see it. So much going on, guys. I can't even tell you. We're getting some really good press lately in the Wall Street Journal, many other places, the Guardian, Wall Street Journal, a bunch of stuff. So that's great. We're up to 1,070,000 signatures on the petition, which is good. But honestly, guys, we should have 25 or 30 million people on this sucker. No good reason that we shouldn't have that many. So the bad news right now is that it looks like Joe Biden continues to insist that we are going to start repaying our loans in February. The good news is, I'm sorry, but that's not going to happen. It is not. Even before the pandemic, ladies and gentlemen, less than half of all borrowers were even making payments at all. And not even included in that is a bunch of people that were making like $0 payments because they were technically in repayment in IBR. So it's even higher than that. Well over 50% of everyone was not paying before the pandemic. So how did that pandemic go for the country? I know the rich people made out pretty well, but most normal people, they're far more financially insecure today than they were 2 years ago. And plus, people have reflected. They've reflected on their lives. They've reflected on what money is, especially having seen trillions of dollars thrown out to the country, much of it in the form of loans that don't need to be repaid, I might add, but trillions of dollars, all of which added to the national debt and required money to be either printed or drawn from the Treasury, same thing. People have come to realize that student loans are a joke. And as I said, even before the pandemic, fewer than half of the people were paying. Even before the pandemic, the default rate for everybody walking around with student loans was going to be like 70, maybe 5%. Like 80% of all borrowers were either not paying or they were paying, but their loan balance was going up. So that's 4 out of 5 borrowers were screwed on their student loans before the pandemic. So yeah, they can try and make people repay again, resume paying on February 1st. But guys, it's not going to happen. It's just not. In fact, I will be stunned if indeed they do try to make people resume paying. And I kind of don't think they will. I think they'll probably extend the pause again. But even if they do demand repayment, I don't think that come, say, May or June, even 25% of the people will be paying. It's just not going to happen. This lending system is failed. It's toast. It's a dead man walking. It is a zombie. I'm running out of analogs here, guys, but suffice it to say, believe me when I tell you, the lending system has failed. And in my humble opinion, only a fool would ever pay again on their federal student loans. This lending system is, look, lending systems fail from time to time. It happens actually far more often than you might think. Subprime home mortgage crisis. You know what the default rate was for subprime home mortgages? It was 20%. We now know that the default rate for people who left school in 2004, like, was that 16, 17 years ago, is 40%. That's double the rate of subprime home mortgage crisis. And they were only borrowing a third of what people are borrowing today. Guys, the lending system is toast. The loans will not be paid. The loans will be canceled one way or the other. So take heart. You know, it's not a bad thing. I mean, lending, it's not our fault, by the way. Lending systems fail from time to time. This one certainly is not the fault of the borrowers. The people, citizens of this country, have not all of a sudden become less responsible over the past 30 or 40 years. No. The people haven't changed that much at all. What has changed is this lending system and the price of college. This lending system is a unconstitutional, predatory, disgusting, obscene, I would say illegitimate at this point, scam. There's no better word for it. It's a scam. It's a hustle. It's a con. Call it any of those things. So lending systems fail from time to time, guys, and we are the unfortunate guinea pigs for this piece of failed U.S. policy. So don't trip, guys. We got this. Tonight, I want to talk about the haters. In fact, the title of tonight's talk, and I'm going to keep this pretty brief, is F the haters. There's all kinds of knee-jerk people out there in the country, and they go, why should my tax dollars pay for your loans? Why should my tax dollars pay for you to go to college? This is not fair. It's not fair. When I was a kid, I did this, I did that. Guys, don't even trip on the haters. Number one, there is nothing that the haters can do or say to prevent what I said a minute ago. This lending system is failed, and there's nothing that the haters can do to prevent that from happening. Nothing. Number two, the haters don't know anything about this lending system. They typically don't have student loans, number one. Number two, screw them. Guys, we have 45 million very concerned borrowers, very smart, intelligent, articulate borrowers on our side. 45 million people walking around with federal student loans. All of us know that this is a scam of a lending system. 38 or maybe more post-COVID, probably 41 million of us were never going to be able to repay our loans. Probably 28 million of us weren't paying before the pandemic, maybe a little bit less, maybe like 23 million. Guys, don't worry about the haters. They're always going to be there. There are a couple of very witty, clever things that you can say to the haters, by the way. Number one, the first thing that I like to say, number one, shame on you. You call yourself a conservative, and most of them do. And here you are fighting for the colleges. You're fighting for the worst big government monstrosity this country has ever seen. Shame on you. That's not conservative. That's not MAGA. That's none of those things. That's just you being a petty, finger-wagging fool who is fighting for the bad guys. We are the good guys. We're fighting to end this big government monstrosity, which most conservatives don't like big government. We are fighting, arguably, to defund the colleges, or at least put them on a very serious diet. They are the people fighting against us. So what does that make them? That makes them foolish. So you may want to point that out. The two things that I like to do, I like to say that, but there's two concrete links that you can put in their faces, which on the internet is a pretty handy thing. Number one, Google Tucker Carlson, Wayne Johnson, and student loans, and you will find a video there. Copy the link to that YouTube video and put that link in their faces and tell them to hear it from Tucker and the Trump appointee who ran the federal loan system. That's all you need to do. That will shut up 9 out of 10 of the haters. That's the first thing. Second thing, it's a little more difficult, but Google, it's a Medium article that we wrote, and it's called Conservatives Have a Major Student Loan Problem. And it's on Medium. So if you Google that, you can find that article. That is really the meat of our conservative argument. That absolutely will shut down every hater who actually reads it. And that's, who knows? A lot of haters don't like to read. But that's okay. Do those two things and your job is done. Don't do any more than that. Don't run yourself ragged. Don't allow these idiots to put you on defense. The Constitution is on our side. This lending system is failed no matter how hard they wag their fingers. This is not a bad borrower problem. This is a bad lending system, bad government, bad college problem. So don't let yourself be put on the defense. And frankly, don't even be nice to these people. All that does is encourages them. If they think you're polite, then they really start running their mouths. I'm not polite. I tell them, shame on you. Yeah, you are disgusting, you're obscene, and you're fighting for the wrong side. And we're a nonpartisan group, guys. We don't care about socialism or communism or left versus right or any of that stuff. But one thing I love to say to these people who are conservatives who hate us, I say, if and when the country actually does go communist or socialist or whatever you're afraid of, it'll be your fault because you were wagging your finger at the decent people being crushed by this big government socialistic, I say, lending scam, while the colleges were getting rich from it. And you ought to be ashamed of yourself. I say, turn in your conservative card because you done lost that, chief. Take a bow, and if the country ever does go communist, I will put you in for the useful idiot medal, comrade. That's what I like to say, but that's just me. But there's some other things that you can say if you really want to engage with them. And I say just do those 2 links, and that's enough. Don't put any more energy into it than that. But if you do want to go further, say, hey, here is a little fact that they weren't aware of. Most student loan borrowers are over the age of 35, not under the age of 35. Most student loan borrowers are either Republican or independent. Around 55% of people with some college are either Republican or independent. 40% never graduated. Millions of them went to trade schools. And oh, by the way, the liberal, woke, elitist protesters that you see on TV that you hate, they typically don't even get student loans because they're elitist. They don't need it. They don't even qualify for it. They're wealthy. They have trust funds. They went to Brown. Their parents paid, blah, blah, blah. So if you want to really humanize it in their eyes, that's helpful. But guys, I'm here to tell you, you should not be afraid or intimidated by these knuckle-dragging, loudmouth idiots. And if they actually knew even one smart thing about this lending system, they would be on our side. In fact, every meaningful, honest engagement I have ever had with someone who started out wagging their fingers at us, they have come around to apologize and acknowledge our point. I kid you not. A lot of them don't like to do that. So a lot of them don't like to honestly engage. So, but like I said, guys, don't even trip on the haters. They have no clue what they're even talking about. And don't trip because we got this. Because no matter how much they wag their fingers at us, this lending system is done. It's toast. It's finished. It's a dead man walking. In my humble opinion, ever paying another dollar into this big government college enriching beast is not only unwise, but it's also unpatriotic. So the one key, most critical point that I need to make to you tonight, and I hope you're still with me. I hope you'll listen. This is very important. Right now, if indeed the Biden administration tries to make everybody pay again in February, it could get very ugly. And guys, the number one thing that we must fight for right now, it's not loan cancellation, it's bankruptcy. It's getting the threat of bankruptcy back on our side. Nobody likes to file for bankruptcy. There's no doubt about that. But it lies at the foundation. It is the cornerstone of this whole entire scam. There's a very good bill right now, S-2598. It's in the Senate. It's a very well-positioned bill. I think it's going to pass. We need to fight to make sure it passes, and we need to fight to make sure it passes with no changes in the current language. That's very important. The most important thing I'm going to say tonight, if you forget everything I say, remember this: we will not get meaningful student loan cancellation from this president and maybe the next president unless and until we get the threat of bankruptcy returned to us. Let me repeat that. It's important. We will not get meaningful student loan cancellation. You want student loan cancellation? I want student loan cancellation. We started the petition that started the national conversation about canceling student loans by executive order. Believe me, I want these loans gone. I want them gone. I don't want any of this up to $50,000 bullshit, which will turn out to be almost nothing for almost everyone, like every other student loan cancellation program we have seen come and go over the past 20 or 30 years. I'm not doing that, and you shouldn't either. You shouldn't fall for it. Up to $50,000 is nonsense. $10,000 is nonsense. I want these loans gone. And the only way we're going to get these loans gone begins by getting the threat of bankruptcy back. So S2598 is absolutely effing important, and you'd better be fighting for it. And I know there's some other people out there in this space claiming to be fighting on our side, and they apparently are opposing bankruptcy. We've seen this movie before, ladies and gentlemen. We've been doing this for 16 years now. There are some tricky people in this space, and they are playing tricky little tricks, because the kryptonite of this entire lending system is the return of bankruptcy protections. We have found people who secretly had come from the war room of a lobbying firm famous for creating fake grassroots movements on behalf of banks, student loan companies, insurance companies, energy, oil companies, tobacco companies, and others, fighting against the return of bankruptcy protections to student loans. I'm telling you guys, it is the one thing that all the bad guys don't want. It is the one thing that we must absolutely get back if we are going to see meaningful student loan cancellation in the future. Don't forget that, guys. A lot of the other groups, in fact, I'd say most of the other groups out there, they are way more noise than signal. We've been doing this for 16 years, guys. I want these loans gone. I don't know what the other people are fighting for. Quite frankly, they ought to be ashamed of themselves for either not having thought this through or even worse. And I'm not going to start lobbing accusations around, but I'm just telling you guys, there are some dirty people in this space, and you might think they're good guys, but they're not. So on that note, looks like we have a couple comments here. If I can see them. Where are they? I'm going to cut it kind of short, though. It's really cold here in Wisconsin right now, guys. I'm just saying. You can see I'm bundled up here. So, also, there's a Green Bay Packers game on, too. I ain't going to lie. So, let's see here. We have a comment from Judith Davis. Judith, hey, she says, they have already paid these loans. So I don't know what exactly you mean by that, Judith, but I can tell you this: the taxpayers have absolutely already paid for these loans. These loans can be canceled tomorrow without needing one penny from the Treasury, without needing even one signature of approval from Congress, and without adding one thin dime to the national debt. What other stimulus can you say that about? What about PPP loans? No, all added in the national debt. What about all the other nonsense, all the tax breaks for billionaires, all the other pandemic stimulus that we saw? All that stuff added to the national debt and required money to be drawn from the Treasury or money to be printed. And canceling student loans, the taxpayers paid for many years ago. They should not have to pay one more dime to cancel these loans, like what we're hearing from some people in the swamp, like Joe Biden, who's saying, oh, it's Congress's job to cancel loans. That is fake. That is a trick. That is a dishonest, deplorable swamp trick. No good reason that the taxpayers should have to shell out not just another dollar for every dollar that they put out initially, but far more than a dollar because of interest, penalties, and fees. That's nonsense. It's bullshit, and it's never going to happen, by the way. Congress will never pass a law that raises $1 trillion in taxes or however so that they can give that money to the Department of Education to cancel loans. Ain't going to happen. Department of Education might want it to happen. The people in the swamp, absolutely everywhere in Washington, D.C., they want that to happen. But that is just obscene in every sense of the word, ridiculous. And politically, it's just not going to happen, guys. It's not. The way these loans are going to go away is, number one, we get the threat of bankruptcy back on our side. That's the first thing that needs to happen. Then suddenly, everything changes. When we finally get that little toothpick of constitutionally endowed, enshrined power back on our side, then it's a different ballgame. Biden is going to have to cancel loans very meaningfully. And oh, by the way, the Department of Education is going to have to start treating people fairly, or else they face the threat of bankruptcy. That's the whole point of bankruptcy, to keep the lenders behaving in good faith. So, guys, if you want student loan cancellation, we must fight right now as hard as you can with every fiber in your being. If you want to get these loans gone, you've got to fight for this bill, S-2598. You've got to call both of your senators at least once in the next 3 days before Christmas, particularly if they are Republican, and you have got to push them and browbeat them and pester them. Maybe beg them. I'll leave it up to you. Whatever works for you. But don't be weak. Don't take no for an answer. And don't stop until they have co-sponsored S-2598. So if you look down there, just go to our website, studentloanjustice.org. Monday morning, tomorrow morning, go to our website, and you will see the phone numbers for both of your senators. Make your 2 phone calls. Make them. It's important. Everything in many ways hinges on this, because as I said, I don't think, in fact, I am quite positive that we will not see meaningful, significant student loan cancellation unless and until we get the threat of bankruptcy back on our side, as the founders called for in the Constitution, ahead of the power to freaking declare war, ahead of the power to raise an army. We got this, guys. We got this. But you have to fight. Only when you fight will we finally win this. We've got the power. We've got the numbers. I hope people are getting ready to bulletproof themselves to not pay on February 1st, my humble opinion. But we'll see how that goes. Spread the word about this group, ladies and gentlemen. We're it. We are the tip of the spear. We are the pioneers. We need you, and you need us, and everybody you know with student loans. 4 out of 5 of whom are screwed on their loans, and were screwed on their loans even before the pandemic. They need to be fighting with us. They can't sit back, wait, watch, and worry, and hope that we're going to pull their weight for them. They need to be here with me and you, fighting. So last thing I'll say, tomorrow, again, go to our website, make your 2 phone calls tomorrow. If you do nothing more for the rest of this year to fight this battle, at least do that. And that's it. I'm out. Have a great night. I'll be back tomorrow. Ed will be back on Tuesday. Don't let this drop, guys. These are your loans. This is your problem. We need you. We got this as long as you do your part. So good luck. Godspeed. God bless everybody. Let's make this the strongest week ever for student loan justice.